he's on the way. He looked decent. It was nice to actually properly spell Houghton rather than bringing Johnston on and sticking Houghton in the second row or at loose forward. So that's probably why he didn't make the stats roundup in terms of tackling.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Good point. I didn't even think about that. Tinarawa Rona was back in for Trinity for his first game in about 9 months, I think. So
he had a good game.
Did he have he's always been a big defensive presence, I've always found, for Trinity. Did he help maybe counteract some of that power that you brought off the bench?
Yeah, possibly. He was just waiting to go back on again as Manu Mao came off. So, yeah, we lost the strike power of Mao, and obviously they put a Rona on, which, sort of tips the balance slightly.
So, I mean, if Tom Johnston's miraculous finishes weren't all so miraculous that they're basically touching the last blade of grass before the sideline, maybe Max Jowett might have had a better chance and to convert one of those last 2 kicks, and it would have been a different story. Do you think without Mark Snade would Hull FC have won this game?
No. So my Super Brew, I went for us by 1, but as the full-time hooter went, I thought we were going to lose it in extra time. We were making no yards going forward. Our tackling was poor. But then I just didn't even see how we were going to get into a position where Sneed would be within drop goal range. But
it's kind of one of those games where it's silly to ask what the highlight moment was, especially when I'm talking to a Hull FC fan. I guess some of the Wakefield fans might look back on Tom Johnston's finishes, but for you, did you look beyond the drop goal for highlight moment?
Well, I mean, I couldn't see the Tom Johnston tries, so I can't really comment on those particularly.
I bet you can see his legs in the air somewhere, but not where the ball went.
Because of the dugouts, and then all the players that stand outside of the dugouts, and the medical staff who standing sort of a step into the pitch, so really couldn't see anything. We were screaming, please pass the ball the other way. But Kelly's try, Jones set that up really, really nicely. And obviously that was our one try in the second half, so that was an important one. But yeah, to be honest, the set that that we scored the drop goal from, Bowden and Sow made some really good yardage, and then Kelly made a half break, which kind of felt like he was going the wrong way because he was heading out towards the wing, and when you're thinking we've got to take the drop goal this next go, you get yourself back in field a bit further. But in terms of, you were saying about Rob Louis celebrating before scoring. Mm-hmm. Kelly stood up, played the ball to Houghton, watched Houghton pass it to, not Houghton, but watched the ball pass to Sneed. And at that point, he started celebrating, did Kelly? So,
I mean, people question some other aspects of Sneed's game, and he hasn't hit the highs that he hit in the first round, has he really? The first couple of rounds, he was definitely performing more generally very well, but his kicking game, you can't deny it, can you? He is the most clutch kicker in the league still.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this one before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing else Joshua wanted to add?
He was just very pleased to get the win, and yeah.
Got some pictures as well with the players after the game.
He did, which was nice, because when we can't get them at home matches anymore, the players aren't allowed to come round.
Because of coronavirus, or just because?
Because of the alums who are idiots. But that's a whole other story.
Fair enough. We shall move on from those idiots and move over to Warrington, where it was Warrington 9, Castleford 8 in another very close game on Friday night. It was 4-2 at half-time, so it was close throughout. 9,228 will be a disappointing crowd figure for the Wire, but Robert Hicks was the referee, and in terms of the stats, Wire's biggest advantage over Cass came in how they made ground. 395 more metres made at 1.5 metres per carry better average gain. Cass made a break more and one error fewer, but Warrington showed a good offloading game 12-4 and had a better team tackle success rate. Individually, Ben Curry, 41 tackles, 100 metres, 3 successful offloads went both ways. Steph Ratchford, 6 tackle busts and 175 metres. Tom Lynham, 1 try, a classic flying pig effort, and 162 metres as well as 2 clean breaks. And Chris Hill returned to form for the old stager, 163 metres for him. Paul McShane kept up his strong start to the season, 57 tackles, 13 of which were marker tackles. George Griffin, 43 tackles, 11 of which were marker tackles. Jordan Rankin, 123 metres, and Chase Blair, 113 metres. Carter got the first fan view in.
Yes. He said, well, it wasn't the best game. Dropping the ball was standard. The penalty try was okay, and hitting a drop goal isn't the strength of both teams.
Mark Butler said, who knew that the guy stuck out on the wing for Great Britain was such a good drop goal specialist? Maybe he should stick to playing in the halves.
Mike Dodd 22 said, a real arm wrestle played out in front of a very nervous home crowd. Good performances from Hill, Curry and Walker. What's the record for the most consecutive missed drop goals?
Cav said, I enjoyed this, although it was a low-scoring game. Why have improved their defence in the last week? Cass still look like they can go up a few levels, even though they're playing pretty well.
Lee Whitnell said, a thrilling end to an absorbing contest made all the more enjoyable by the fact that at no point until the drop goal did I think we'd get the win. We showed great intensity after the introduction of Clark, but for the most part, Cass had the edge. This was driven by a kicking game that I'd like to walk hand in hand down the beach with and take for a nice dinner. Accuracy, movement on the ball, finding the grass, class.
Fatboy Rob said, I'm getting used to flat first halves, but I didn't enjoy 2 flat halves from the champions elect. To Warrington's credit, they defended well, but they were as clueless as Cass in attack. If there was a sloppy and SLP award for the shittest drop goal attempts, Cass would win it hands down. Great away support from Yorkshire's biggest side as always, and it was good to meet with Lee Whitnell for a pint. That man is beautiful. #dreamy.
Always in our shadow said plenty of effort but lacking in any class. What?
No, I was confused why always in our shadow popped up in this one.
Mark Sneed must have been pissing himself watching some of those efforts at drop goals.
And POB 1976 said, a great game of rugby with either team able to take points with only minutes to go. In a 1-point shootout, it was why that kept their nerve and took the 2 points. Yeah, everyone's talking about it. Drop goal-a-thon. Some ropey efforts. Some very ropey efforts. I thought that when Richardson tried the one on his left foot, he was going to scab that one over, but it wasn't to be, and it was actually Blake Austin who absolutely crunched one when it came down to it after a couple of attempts from both sides that didn't go so well. I actually enjoyed this game. I thought it was played with quite a good intensity. I found it really hard to pick a star player out. It was more about the team than individuals, I think, in this one. Lee sort of YFan Lee sort of says that Cass had an edge in most parts. I agree that the kicking game, Richardson's probably a better in-play kicker than Austin is. Austin's a good attacking kicker, and Widdop had an off day. But I actually think overall Wire were the better side. I think they just about deserved to take the win, and Austin obviously was the man who just about had the composure and execution to give them that win. In terms of, I thought Toby King, he keeps having good moments in games. What I'm impressed with is his defensive reads. He's been pretty spot on with his defensive reads for the most part this season, and this was a game built on defence. I think all Warrington will have talked about in the last week after the Leeds debacle is attitude in defence, and from that they at least had a platform to score just about enough points to win the game. Highlight moments. I think it was a game high on in intensity and combat, but low on highlights. Lynham's try has to take it. The amusingly exaggerated finish is what I've written down here after some sharp left edge build-up play. So yeah, I don't know if you've caught this, the highlight of this one, Sarah, after your game over in Wakefield, but he basically had about 4 yards to score, and it wasn't like a Tom Johnston or Tommy Makinson. I've got an inch to score in, and I'm going to make that that ball landing that inch. He had a lot to go at, but he still did a big loopy dive, kind of more like he was diving into a swimming pool than diving in to score a try.
Nice.
But got the ball down cleanly, and it was a spectacular looking finish from the Flying Pig, and a great interview after the game. Actually, he seems like a player that we don't take advantage of how quirky and entertaining he could be.
He really is, yeah.
He's the kind of character that like a Rugby AM kind of environment might suit more so than some of the other shows and stuff. But yeah, I think Warrington deserved it, to be honest, and I think the stats with the amount of meters they were able to make throughout the game kind of bears that out. But because they'd focused so much on sorting out their attitude and their defence, obviously it wasn't going to be a game where they were sort of high on their attacking performance, and they're going to have to build through into that after coming out of a bad couple of weeks. But their home winning run continues. I don't know if you saw, they put on social media a big post bloating on about being 3 from 3 at home, and I didn't even click on the responses because I couldn't have contained myself from writing back what most other people that weren't Warrington fans would have written back to say, and that just be none from 3 on the road.
Yeah.
But well done to Warrington. I think they deserve this one.
Yep.
Saturday's action.
Yep, Saturday was over in the south of France, which unfortunately we don't get to watch anymore in the same way that we used to. But it finished Catalan 30, Salford 14, after being 18-0 up at half-time. Of 7,940 people and refereed by Chris Kendall, who wasn't refereeing on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, he must have struggled with this one, actually, mustn't it? I suppose he's done, actually, a Saturday night game before this year in the World Club Challenge, so...
Yeah. So
the first game has not been televised this year for Kendall.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I suppose, yeah, if he's always done Thursdays, then... So he's being trusted to referee on his own.
Yeah.
So in terms of team stats, the home side made 350 more metres, 2 more breaks and 5 fewer errors as the key stats underlining their win in this one. As average gain and tackle success rate were close. Salford need to find a reliable goal kicker still, missing 2 from 3. Individually, Sam Cassiano with 5 tackle busts and 166 metres. Busquet with 140 metres, Lewis Tierney with 1 try, 7 tackle busts, 139 metres and 2 clean breaks, and Sam Tompkins with 1 try assist and 134 metres. And for the losing Salford, Joey Lussick with 51 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, Rhys Williams with 5 tackle busts and 152 metres, Niall Evans 1 try, 1 try assist, 5 tackle busts, 122 metres, and Ken Sear with 2 tries, 120 metres and 2 clean breaks.
A couple of fan views on this one, although I don't think they tell us much. I'll just whiz quickly through both of those for you, Sarah. Alan Walker said he hasn't fucked off yet, for fuck's sake, so didn't watch, did some drinking and fornicating instead. And Malkarma TS said, lucky charm cunt karma, 3 games, 3 wins, So you'll have caught up on the highlights of this. You'll have seen the highlight where Sam Tompkins did a trip and has got 2 game ban for that very blatant trip. That still didn't stop the try.
Yeah, what was the purpose of that then? If you don't stop the try, don't bother.
I know, yeah. And he had another big error, didn't he, that led to one of the Salford tries as well. So what did you make from what you've read and what you've seen of this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Sam Cassiano doing so well because against us he was massive for Catalan, so it seems like he's really kicking on again this season and going to be really important to Catalans, I think.
Yeah, he's a player that didn't do very much last year after his arrival, but maybe he sort
of burst onto the scene in a big way, I think, the first couple of matches, and then sort of fizzled a bit.
It was when Morgan Smithy stood up to him, weren't it? That was what it was, you see.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, this season he seems to have really sort of found his stride, and they're impressive stats, really, aren't they? So
yeah, for sure.
So that's good to see. I thought. I mean, I know Salford are without Hastings, who was awesome for them last year, but I have been underwhelmed with them. I thought that they would do more this season still, but maybe they were more of a one-man team than we thought.
I mean, they've been missing Kevin Brown because of his headbutt for the last 2